Yo!
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's up?
Oh, just another crazy night at the Hinton house. But hey, it's a Friday, I guess, isn't it? Yeah,
It is. It is Friday.
I'm a night shift, so I don't remember what day it is most of the time. Well, I'm not a night shift anymore. I'm back on days. Yes.
Woo!
Amy's with her mom, and Bree went to the store, so it's just me and the dogs hanging out here in the
All
basement.
right. Nice.
But
Oh, good.
here to talk about some movies
Yeah.
and hoping we get
Well, I
some
think
more
it went pretty
people
good.
on.
I'm excited for this one to see who all pops in here eventually, because last time we did one of these was really fun.
Yeah, we've tried quite a few people. I was surprised how much participation we had, and
Yeah.
hoping we can replicate that some more. So,
Yeah, I hope.
and I'm sure moving forward as we do more of these, it'll kind of have a snowball effect, and we'll have more people interested. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I was happy about the
doing them on a
engagement.
regular basis, I think will help too. Like doing them once a month.
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully, in the near future, I'll have a computer set up so I can do this, because right now I'm just using my phone and wandering around. So, but at least I can have my
Oh, you're
games
good.
in the background. So, yeah, I've been struggling mightily with the tech, trying to get my video posted and trying to join in and whatnot, but working the kinks out.
Oh yeah. I finally kind of found a way to just basically use my phone, because we were trying to do all this other stuff, and it was just, I'm terrible. Like, if that whole like go back and tell yourself something in high school is like, learn camera stuff, learn editing software.
Yes, I trying to explain to people how we edited together our movies in high school is like telling somebody how to ride a covered wagon over the Oregon Trail. It's I can't believe what
Yeah.
we did back then, putting together VCRs and our CD player to edit movies together. But it
Yeah.
has a unique charm that's not easily replicated. So,
Well,
oh
probably now
man,
there's just
I
like you can just
remember,
click and make it look like that. But those are
yes,
all night events.
it's like, well, you can get free editing software that makes your stuff look great now. Where back in the day, you had to get a $5,000 camera and a $3,000 PC to edit together crap that you can do on your $30 smartphone these days.
Yeah.
Now it sounds like an old man shaking his fist at the sky. So, what are you barking
I
at,
know all
dog?
the time. It's fine.
Yes, we're that age now in our mid to late 30s where, oh, covered up my camera, I find myself doing that a lot. Like I found out recently, we had a guy quit my crew, so I'm now the oldest guy in my crew, which makes me feel absolutely ancient. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the oldest guy. I'm the oldest employee at Walgreens, and it's just like children. I'm just surrounded by
It's a
children.
great feeling, isn't it? Look, they're stupid kids. Was I that stupid when I was that age? Probably I was.
You bunch of idiot 25-year-olds. You don't even know.
Yeah, back in my day. Yeah, a lot of shaking our fist at the sky like an old man. That's my life now. Oh well.
Yeah.
So see anything good lately? Anything that really stand out? I've not watched your latest reviews, I will admit.
I watched the new Texas Chainsaw movie.
I heard bad
I think
things.
I'll put it this way. Is it a good movie? No. But, and then even the first 20 minutes, I was just sitting here going, oh, I'm going to hate this. This movie's only 70 minutes. I'm going to hate every second. And then the first kill happens.
It's only 70 minutes?
It's 70 minutes if you take out the credits, yeah. It flies,
Wow.
which is the best part about it, because it's 70 minutes. But yeah, the first kill start, you go, oh, Okay, I know what movie this is. All right, I'm here. I'll have fun with it because it's got some good kills. I mean, people are like, well, it's not a Texas Chainsaw movie, and yeah, I mean, granted, it doesn't have the dinner scene that every Chainsaw movie has, but it does actually have a massacre in it, so you kind of gotta pick your battles.
Yeah, I like the dinner scenes, but I'm okay if they don't throw that in every single movie. I was trying to think here.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen the 2003 version. I've seen the prequel, which I think is pretty underrated, honestly. I'm trying to think. I've not seen the one
I
with
still say my favorite
Renee
two.
Zellweger.
I still love two, man. Yeah, that's four. Four is the one with Matthew McConaughey and his robot leg. Two's still my favorite. Chop Top and Dennis Hopper.
It was. I could see why it turned a lot. I could see why it turned a lot of people off because it changed drastically in tone and style.
For sure.
But I think it was a move in the right direction. If they had just tried to recreate the first one, it wouldn't have worked. But they had fun with it and really did something different and had a great Dennis Hopper is just that scene where he's picking out his chainsaws in the stores cracks me up every time. Yeah, top to bottom.
Just punching logs with a chainsaw. I love it.
Yes.
No, like Texas Chainsaw, I guess that review is like it's never been like my big sake. We didn't watch the first one till what, high school? I know me and Hampton watched it together.
Yeah, and then we laughed our asses off at it.
Yeah,
I've gone back and watched, and I can
understand its importance, but I still love that movie thinking about it. But it's never been one. I like the. I thought the remake was okay. The 03 one, I mean, especially at that time period of remakes, I thought it was all right.
I like the 03 version. I like Arlie Ermy in it. He's really creepy. It's got that really gritty, nasty style.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty solid remake. I know a lot of people hate it, but
honestly,
I guess given the
all of them, I think. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, we're on a delay.
Yeah, that's okay. So between all of them, what you were saying?
I was saying between all of them, I think that one is probably the most rewatchable. Really, if you're gonna sit down and watch a Chainsaw movie, I mean, 2 has its camp fun, but I mean, as far as like just a real like sit down and watch, I'm gonna watch a horror movie that's the Texas Chainsaw. I think that's the one, isn't it?
For a straight up horror movie, that is probably the best horror movie since the first one. Although I like the beginning, I haven't watched it recently. It's been probably 10 years. I liked it. I don't know how well it holds up. I thought it was a pretty damn good prequel. They did a really good job tying in with the 03 version. Some good gore. I kind of like the side plot of the guys were getting ready to go to Vietnam, and they played that in well. That's one I need to revisit. I think it will probably hold up well. I've not seen the 3D one from a few years back. I heard it was terrible.
I redboxed it, and it like this one is not good. It has a great opening. Chainsaw movies have great openings. It has probably one of the best openings to be like a direct sequel to the original. But then other than that, it's just really pretty people getting killed by Leatherface with the original taking place in the 70s, and then the second one's kind of present day, but they talk about it like it was only 20 years ago, so the timeline's all weird. And of course, there's that scene where Alexandria Daddario throws a chainsaw at Leatherface and says, "Do your thing, cuz."
I'm gonna have to give that a watch one of these days. I know they really played up the 3D, and I wish I would have seen it in movies to join the 3D, because I've enjoyed a lot of crap movies just because they were in 3D, like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Was it 4? That's not a good movie, but it was a fun movie in 3D. They actually
Yeah.
utilized the 3D in it pretty well, so I enjoyed it. But I feel like that's one of those.
Now,
And
movies that
probably
are like
loses a
that I
little in
actually do like though is the My Bloody Valentine and the Drive Angry. I think those are both trash, but love the 3D in them.
Oh yeah, I love Drive Angry. It's a really stupid movie, top to bottom. But I think they knew exactly what kind of stupid movie they were making and just ran with it. If I needed just a really campy Nicolas Cage action movie, it's a good go-to. Again, another one I wish I would have seen in 3D in the theater. But it's a oh man, that the sex scene in the hotel room is just absurd. The whole movie is just crazy top to bottom.
I love that movie.
Oh, that's one that's kind of been, I guess, what was that, 2012? 2012, 2013, something like that?
Yeah. Something like that.
Man, that's been a while back now. Because we had, I mean, for a while there, pretty much every movie was 3D. There's still a lot of 3D movies, but it wasn't like it was about 10 years ago, where everything you can possibly imagine was 3D. Good Will Hunting 2,
like
Hunting Season, 3D.
I wish. I saw, what's the last movie I saw in 3D? I saw BVS in IMAX 3D. I was like, cool.
Oh, yeah, that was a 3D
movie. Glasses
wasn't
my big glasses. Yeah, that and Civil War. But that's the last thing I saw. And even those aren't even really 3D. It's just like, it looks like you're looking through a door.
You can really tell the movies that really try to play it up and the ones that don't. If they just kind of tack 3D on, it's quite noticeable. If there's not things flying at the screen in the movie, like in Resident Evil 4, they had the fight scene in the bathroom. She breaks some water mains and it's raining. And the 3D effects of that was so cool. It's one of my favorite 3D effects I've seen in any 3D movie. And it just seemed so well done and tangible. It actually added to the scene. Where a lot of these other movies like Civil War, remember like Clash of the Titans from 2010. They did, that was 3D, but they went back after they made it and made it 3D. So it was like, okay, what's the point? I know they did that with several movies to try to cash in on that.
Yeah, it's just like they add this little extra dimension to the screen. It doesn't do, like, you just like, oh, I'm really looking through the door instead of just looking through a door.
And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, but why bother?
Yeah.
I can understand though not wanting to tailor, like My Bloody Valentine 3D, you know, it's throwing pickaxes at the screen and whatnot.
Yeah.
But if you're not watching in the 3D, or like, why are things keep on coming at the screen? Like, watching Jason 3.
Friday the 13th 3.
There's a lot of things poking at the guy punching through the window and whatnot, and it's kind of weird to watch it without that extra effect because they leaned into it so hard. But
I love it.
I guess it's
like, hey, things. You want to drink a soda?
That was part of that. There's been 3 big waves of 3D movies. There was the 1950s, where a lot of the B movies and creature features and whatnot went for that. Then in the early 80s, there was a resurgence. There was a Western movie called Coming At Ya that I heard was pretty fun. They utilized 3D. Something about some sort of like Magic Mask movie. And then, of course, we had the trifecta of horror movies that came out in 3D.
Yeah.
That were also part 3. You had Amityville 3D, Jason 3D, and of course the wonderful Jaws 3D. Oh, all those movies are
real
crap.
quick,
I haven't seen Amityville 3D.
I was gonna say off the tangent of that because we don't have to talk about it long. Have you heard about the new Amityville horror movie?
The new what?
The new Amityville movie.
Amityville in
It's called
Space, that one?
Yeah.
On one of the Facebook pages I'm part of, people kept on posting reviews for all these new random Amityville. Apparently, there's been a ton of new Amityville movies coming out. I don't know what the deal is,
like
but they're apparently.
It's like a Space Ghost Space Ghost interview.
Yes.
No, I think Amityville is in the public domain, so that you can just slap Amityville on anything.
And that's exactly what
So,
happened.
Good on
What's happening?
Like 7
I watched
movies, and they're just not going to space.
And I was thinking, man, it's not like there's not enough Amityville movies, because you had the first three. Then after that, there's like Amityville, It's About Time, which is about a haunted clock. They had Amityville Dollhouse. There's a few of them in the late 80s, early 90s that were just, yes. I think there's about 6 of them before this latest rash of them. And I don't know if any of them are worth watching. Sometimes in those sequels like that, you get diamonds in the rough, but I'm doubting those are the case with those.
Yeah.
So I'm having to wrangle this puppy.
Oh, what's his name?
This is Lottie. This is Amy's. She's a Pomeranian Chihuahua. She's about 4 months old. We've had about a month and a half. She weighs 3 whole pounds. She's a sweet dog. She's very lively. So she's jumping up and down and growling in the background. She'll be coming in and out of frame.
Patrick's around here somewhere. Probably hiding from the little one.
Can't imagine why. He was such a personable cat while I was there.
Yeah.
Oh, did you lose your toy?
Oh, he's getting better. Yeah, well, to me, he is. He's not as angry. He's just grumpy. So, take what I can get.
Hey, that's an improvement.
Yeah. He'll actually let me pet him every once in a while. Yes.
That's an accomplishment for a cat, I will say. If he lets him pet you sometimes, that's a win.
Sometimes.
So, new Batman's out this weekend. What do you think about what you've been hearing?
So far, I've heard nothing. I went yesterday and kind of glossed over some of the negative stuff, just to kind of see where people's heads were at. A lot of them are about how dark it is, which I'm fine with this places. I mean, especially because it's outside of canon. A lot of praise for Pattinson and Paul Dano, which rightfully so. I don't know. I'm excited. We're going to see it tomorrow afternoon. Kind of want one of those stupidly expensive
probably get around
popcorn bowls at AMC.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm planning to go next weekend to see it in IMAX. I've heard some people echo kind of my word. So I had a few concerns. My concern about and my issue with Robert Pattinson was never his abilities as an actor, because he's a pretty great actor.
Just his physique.
It was his fit in this role. But aside from that, I was a little worried when I heard it's nearly 3 hours long. That's a long superhero movie. Not that they can't be great. Look at Justice League Snyder Cut. I don't know your opinion of it. I think it's an excellent superhero movie.
Oh,
it's over 4 hours long, and I never felt bored. And it went to show that you can make a superhero movie that long and to be engaging top to bottom. But
it is. It's all about
that had more.
Yeah, I think it's all about the world, and I think I'm curious because I know already it's supposed to be getting 2 separate extensions of the world on HBO Max. they're doing a show about the
Oh,
Penguin,
that's cool.
which I've heard Colin Farrell's amazing as the Penguin. Which, talking about casting, you and I would have never, that was like being in high or whenever and be like, Heath Ledger is a Joker. That's stupid.
Just a second.
Oh, you're good.
They call
But
it,
they're doing that,
and I'll say that is
weird. Go ahead. Sorry.
I would say Colin Farrell, that is some really strange casting, especially putting him underneath so much makeup. That has mixed results. Sometimes you can slap a bunch of makeup on somebody and they can really make the role their own. Like, it's more of a cameo character, but Tropic Thunder, Les Grossman. I first watched that. I did not realize that was Tom Cruise. And I think he's hilarious in that movie. But then you have Prometheus, where you have Guy Pearce.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The old guy, was he one of the Utani guys? I can't remember his name. I wasn't terribly fond of that movie. And it kind of like, why'd you bother getting Guy Pearce in that role? Because Guy Pearce is a great actor. But I think Colin Farrell is a really underrated actor. And the way they are portraying this Penguin, I think he'll do well in it. I do.
Yeah.
But again, I'm with you.
They're doing a show based on him. I said they're doing a show based on him, and then they're doing a show that's going to kind of focus on like Arkham, the Arkham of this world that they're setting up. So that's interesting. I think that one's supposed to be more. I've heard rumors. One rumor idea was that it was an anthology. The other one that it was more of a kind of like a Gotham Central type show. And I like that if you're going to kind of expand on the world outside of Batman, then you can kind of bring in lesser knowns, because that's my thing is the idea that they're doing the Riddler, like the Zodiac Killer. I think it freaking rules. And give me don't do the Joker. Like, let's let the Joker rest.
There's so many villains in his rogues gallery, and some really great villains. Yeah, and I get the appeal of the Joker. Joker's the most iconic Batman villain, but not everything has to have the Joker in it or be about the Joker, especially since sometimes they do it well, sometimes they don't. Suicide Squad, but
who knows? Someday they'll release the Air Cut. Maybe we'll all eat our words.
Okay, I enjoy that version of the Suicide Squad. It's not a great movie, and I can't imagine any cut where it would be a great movie, to be honest. It's just
no.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a fun popcorn movie, but I don't think there's any cut that could exist that'll make that a really good movie.
No.
But anyway, back to this version of Batman. So the 3-hour runtime, I lost my train of thought for what else I was worried about. I know they're doing a grittier take, which making things grittier can be hit and miss also. But I think Batman in this world is the right one to go. It's the right property to make grittier.
Yeah.
I think that was probably a good stylistic move for this. But mainly I wonder about the casting of the characters. Yes, and I heard they lean heavily into the detective aspects of this. It's less a beat-em-up, action-packed roller coaster ride. They focus a lot on the tension and unraveling the mystery, which if you're going to have a movie featuring the Riddler, it's a smart move. Another thing I was worried about was the Spider-Man 3 syndrome of, are they going to have too many characters in the movie? When they first announced it and announced all the people they were going to have in and all the characters, ever since Spider-Man 3, I always worry about that. If it's going to be a bridge too far, bringing in all these characters and giving them enough time to actually do something or flesh them out. But I heard that's not a problem with this one. And probably helped due to the 3-hour runtime.
Yeah, that, and I think also you're going to get just enough of those characters, and then that's going to set up, because you probably can't sign Robert Pattinson to do a TV show, but like Colin Farrell will probably do one, limited series. Zoe Kravitz might do it, so you can kind of grow those characters.
Yeah, they would.
On this other platform, which I think worked. I haven't got to watch it yet. We were going to watch it this week, and then we kept the little one. I was like, probably not a good time to break out Peacemaker, but I've heard Peacemaker's an amazing show.
I have watched the first 3 episodes, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's about what you would expect from a John Cena comedy R-rated HBO show. It doesn't take itself too seriously at all, and it works. It makes you really feel for Peacemaker, and it fleshes him out a lot more as a character. And yeah, it's hilarious scene. So from what I've seen, yeah, I highly recommend that. I kind of thought it was an odd choice that he's the one you would pick for his own solo show. It works. It really works.
Yeah.
Would you calm down, little dog? Nope.
See, what else? Oh, I watched, I haven't watched any, well, I want to do my spoiler-free Batman review for Sunday. I'm going to push the one I already shot for next week, but you ever heard of Sandman? Not the villain. It's, hang on.
The one based off the comic?
No. This one.
Oh! Okay. Nope, not heard of that at all.
It's pretty interesting. I found it on Netflix a long time ago and watched it, and it's what they call a hoax documentary. Because it's a found footage movie, but the whole through line of the movie is a real documentary. They're interviewing people like August Underground or Beelzebub. People make like these like guinea pig type movies and sell them, at cons or whatever.
Nice.
And then also talking to like psychiatrists and people like that about what these movies say about the people who buy them. That's all a real documentary. And then under the surface is about they made this other filmmaker known as the Sandman, and he may or may not actually be stalking and killing women. So you watch it as it's true, it's a documentary, and I was like, wait, what? So it's a really good use of the format.
I can see that. Did they interview Tom Six? Does he show up? Because that seems like his kind of jam.
No, this is a little before Tom Six. No new footage of the Narnia Club or whatever that movie's supposed to be about.
Yeah. Oh man. I bet I've never seen any of his movies. I tend to avoid super gross out movies like that. Maybe I've just gotten softer in my old age, but when the Human Centipede came out and said, you know what, I'm good, then 2 and 3 came out and really amped it up, I've heard. I was staying with a friend and I went upstairs and I walked in on the middle of a very graphic scene of Human Centipede 2, and it's like, that 30 seconds is all I ever need to see.
I was young and stupid one time and was doing the binge, and I was like, what'll get some clicks? I'm going to watch all 3 Centipedes in one day. Don't do that. That wasn't a good idea.
Scrub it out with sandpaper. Oh, no. I forgot. That has something to do with part 2. Never mind. Ugh. Those movies are gross. But I remember there's a new Tom Six movie, the Oneidas Club, and it's I'm just like, okay, who is this movie for? What rich
Tom
ladies
Six.
who get off on suffering?
It is Tom Six watched David Cronenberg's Crash and was like, I can make that sleazier.
I think it's something even weirder. People are into criticizing
And
rich
that's for somebody who
assholes.
likes
Let's do
crap.
that. Only they're even worse than you can imagine. Ugh. Besides, I've heard it's I don't know if it's a production hell or hasn't been released or what. There's something apparently holding it up. I know everyone's waited with bated breath for the Oneidas Club. So we'll see if people can criticize it and say something other. What?
I said, I believe that thing that's holding up is called good taste. I know every once in a while the podcast.
Well, that has to stop them.
Mention about like we need to start a Twitter. Well, we got to start a Twitter movement to get that movie released so we can review it. only to bash it.
Oh yeah, that was something.
But we got to see it.
We Hate Movies. Was that them? I know they talked about the Oneidas. Yes.
Yeah.
You got me into We Hate Movies. I listened to them. I think I listen to almost every episode now, and I backed them on Patreon.
I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm totally a Patreon subscriber. I love
they're
so funny.
They are. Oh, I listen to them a lot at work, so I'll just break down laughing. I don't know why that one episode where they talk about you drive a truck through it, honk honk. That I just died laughing at work when they were doing it every time. People walking by, it's like, what are you listening to?
The one I always tell people about is the Halloween. It's Halloween 6, but they do this ongoing bit throughout the episode of Dr. Loomis hosting like a sleazy, like Howard Stern type sex pot radio show called Loose Loomis. It's hysterical.
So I haven't watched that one because actually when I go back and watch, I try to watch those movies, then watch the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Curse of Michael Myers, right?
Yeah.
That is one of the few Halloween movies I haven't seen, so I was going to watch that, then watch that review. I like the Mortal Kombat review and the Highlander review, mainly because they constantly riff on Christopher Lambert. Yes.
I really wanted to do Fortress.
Oh. Yeah. Me and my dad caught that on cable way back in the 90s. And I remember liking it pretty well. I also have revisited many 90s movies that I thought were awesome, and they have aged really badly.
Yeah.
80s stuff seems to have had this it's like the technology, we were getting there with certain technology, but it was quite clear we weren't quite there. And those movies from like 91 to 97, it shows. And I imagine Fortress is one of those movies.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's a lot of Christopher Lambert glaring at the screen and whatnot.
Yeah. I think Kurtwood Smith's like a robot or something. Like, it's weird.
Yes. He's spoiler alert. He's the prison warden who's a robot. Sorry for spoiling the movie Fortress or Christopher Lambert. I thought that's a pretty cool prison design and stuff. Yeah. Oh man.
I will say they have, even though they do their We Hate movies, there are movies I own now, and thankfully because of them, like Only the Strong, which is about capoeira, and then one I actually bought one on Blu-ray. I don't think I can get to it. Tough Turf with James Spader.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with Tough Turf. Not seen it, but I'm well aware. On the say of Christopher Lambert, that guy seemed to show up in a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s, and of course, Highlander, what he's most well known for. And I got a comment on Highlander here in a minute. Remember he was in a movie called Adrenaline, Fear the Rush, which had, trying to think here, it was directed by Albert Pyun, Pyun. He was the guy that Charles Band pretty much gave unlimited whatever crappy movies he wanted to, and He
Oh yeah,
directed
that guy made
Cyborg,
a ton of
Van
great
Damme,
stuff.
Radioactive Dreams, which is a post-apocalyptic comedy musical. Yeah, it's something. Uh, but trying to think here. Oh, yes, Christopher Lambert. You ever seen his version of Beowulf?
No, I remember the cover. I can see like the cover in my head, but I don't think I ever watched it.
Oh,
Isn't it basically Highlander?
well, it kind of loosely follows Beowulf. It's got this Christopher Lambert as Beowulf, and it's one of those movies you can't tell if it's supposed to take place on another planet, in the future, in an altered past, because it's kind of medieval, but they have some weird tech, and it doesn't seem to add up. Like his sword has a handbrake on it for some reason, and he shows up, does a lot of flips, or stunt double does a lot of flips, kicks a bunch of people, then ends up fighting Grendel, who's this atrocious CGI monster. I mean, wow, it's bad. Then Grendel's mom is like, she shows up and she's like wearing these like flowy scarves, and there's always wind on her, so she's always like, her hair and the clothes are always blowing in the wind no matter where she's at. And it's like, I've watched it and it's like, that woman's definitely been in adult films, and look it up, and sure enough, I think that movie's her lone credit that's not going to be film, because she gets naked quite a bit in that movie. It's bad, but it is so worth watching, and it's got the heavy synth techno soundtrack that kicks in. It's like being in a laser tag arena in 1996. It's just the most off the wall version of that story you will ever see. And Christopher Lambert's there, glaring his way through the entire movie. So that's check
like
out Beowulf with Christopher Lambert.
The Resurrection. It's like his Seven ripoff. Him and Leland, what's his face from Seven of all things, where the serial killer's building a giant Jesus out of body parts. They just released it on Netflix not too long ago, and I picked it up.
Man, those guys will release anything, won't they?
Oh yeah, it's dark.
Want to talk about a film label that has rabid fans? Let's join the Vinegar Syndrome Collectors group on Facebook, and those people will knife each other for a slipcover. My God. We didn't like their stuff, but those people are like, I want to cover it around. $20 for it.
I'll be honest with you. I do have my Vinegar Syndrome still in their slipcovers. They're the only movies I have slipcovers for. I spent years just throwing slipcovers away. And then now
I've done the same. Yes. And now that's a big thing. Kind of like back in the day, you would get used VHS tapes and just a plastic clamshell, and now everyone rapidly wants the boxes and cover art for it. Yeah. If I die, Bree's going to be a rich woman selling all my VHS tapes. The ones you don't get anyway. Because I'm sitting here watching, and it's like, man, it's better than investing in the stock market.
That's what I tried to Lambert. I've got a few more that I've found over the few years, including Fortress. Believe it or not, I found a copy of it on eBay, maybe. Can't remember where I got it, but Fortress, Live Wire with Pierce Brosnan. Speaking of We Hate Movies,
man, I think when Highlander came out, back to Highlander, I think people thought there were big things in store for Christopher Lambert, and he got work over the years at least, but I can understand the kind of, he's not everyone's cup of tea. I think he's great. I think he's hilarious for the wrong reasons, but I loved him in Mortal Kombat as Raiden. So I grew up watching the Highlander TV show with my parents. They loved
Mhm.
it. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I saw the movies on cable. But I talked Bree and Tommy and my friend Tommy into watching the original Highlander. I hadn't seen it in a while. They had never seen it. I plopped the movie in and we're watching it, and I realized for about 45 minutes that movie makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You have no.
Nope.
It's these two guys. This guy was going to watch WWF to watch the Fabulous Freebirds wrestle. That's them in the movie, by the way. The Fabulous Freebirds are in a tag match with somebody else. Then they get a sword fight in the parking garage, and lightning comes out of one of them after he's beheaded. Bree's watching this saying, what is going on? What's happening? I had a lot of context for it, having watched the shows and whatnot. Without context, that movie is nonsense. It is such a pile of nonsense throughout most of it. It's great. It's action-packed. It's actually the choreography and the cinematography are beautiful, but it's a bonkers movie. Not as bonkers as the second one, but that's
going to the second movie where they're, depending on what cut of the second movie, whether or not they're aliens.
That's what I told her. I said, watching this, you will be more confused going into the second one than if you had never watched this movie. Then everyone after that just ignored the second one for reasons. Maybe because that was a really bizarre direction to go with it. It's already weird enough with you have immortal dudes and they can run around with swords chopping each other's heads off. But then you throw, oh no, aliens into the mix. And yeah, that was a bit much. I love it. I haven't seen, I know there's there's apparently a version that cuts out every reference to them being aliens in it. I have not watched that version. I still don't think it would be much less crazy.
That one I think is called the Renegade Cut. Is that what it's called? One of them is called the Renegade Cut.
Yes. That. I think they figured out. Yeah, we may have messed up there, but I don't think there was any undoing Highlander 2 and how crazy it was.
No.
I don't think any amount of cutting would have made that movie not bonkers. So.
I love them all.
Hey,
The first three I love. I haven't watched them in a long time. I watched the first one. We were at Amber's parents for something, and everybody was off doing like outside or in the pool or something, and I was just like, I'm gonna sit here. Highlander's on. Yes, please.
Is that the day that we all ended up watching it?
I think so, yeah. Everybody came inside and was like just sitting there quietly watching Highlander with me. I'm like, that's right. That's right. You'll be singing Princess of the Universe.
What a great family.
Oh no, don't get it wrong. They probably hated every second of it, but
probably it's not most people's cup of tea. Which is shocking that movie was as popular as it was. The 80s were a strange time for movies.
The 80s, anything could be huge. Like
there was a commercially successful live-action He-Man movie. I just that to me is amazing. Weird times.
That
I would have loved to set into the production
to have an after-credit sequence.
What's that?
I said it had the balls to have an after-credit sequence and sequel bait.
Do you know what was supposed to be the sequel to that?
No.
I'll give you a hint. We've actually talked about it during this conversation. Cyborg.
What?
Originally, yes. Okay, originally, they were put Cyborg into production as a sequel to Masters of the Universe. I don't know what happened, but somehow we wound up with a Jean-Claude Van Damme fighting a bunch of weird dudes in post-apocalyptic North America. I can't remember the exact details of the story, but Cyborg was supposed to be Masters of the Universe too. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Isn't,
but
like isn't Kurt Russell's Soldier supposed to be a sequel to Blade Runner?
So it connects in with the universe.
Okay.
During one of the scenes, they're showing his name's Todd, I believe, the soldier, his battle record, and it says he's a veteran of the Battle of Tannhauser Gate, which Tannhauser Gate's, of course, mentioned by Ray Batty in Blade Runner. So, and it's written by the same author. I can't think of the guy's name now. Philip, thinking Harlan Ellison. That's not right. Yes, Philip K. Dick. So, yes, there is a connection with them, and it appears that the super soldiers in that movie, the genetically produced ones, were in fact replicants. So, I consider them to be in the same universe and close enough. I love little connections like that in movies, and I think it was it showed an interesting other part of, because they talk in Blade Runner, they talk about they're out in space and fighting these conflicts in space, and that you actually get to see it somewhat too, especially in the beginning. And the kind of, we trying to create a super soldier, and we train child soldiers, and then, well, they're obsolete because we can grow them in a test tube. So I like Soldier. That is a really depressing movie. Just like fucking everybody dies.
I need to rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a long time. What?
I think it holds up pretty well.
You can do it.
It doesn't seem as dated as other things from that era. It's got a pretty good cast, and of course Kurt Russell's great. I mean, not like he says much or emotes much, but he's pretty solid in it. But I know I heard about the connection. I heard the connection to Blade Runner, so I sought that out for that reason. Sure enough, that connection is there. Kind of like there's an unofficial. Do you know about the Goonies tie-in?
To what? Like a sequel?
So there is a sort of. Have you ever heard of the Willies?
Yeah.
It's a horror anthology, kind of aimed more at kids and whatnot. It's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite anthologies. The narrator is Sean Astin. He's wearing a leather jacket that has the same name as his last name is his character from the Goonies. And at the beginning of the movie, he's telling these kids that, I'm going to tell you a story. And one of them says, you're not going to tell us about that time you found pirate treasure, right? Or something to that effect. It's unofficially ties in. It ties in. I'm considering it canonical. But even aside from that, that movie's great. Watch it. But
I love that.
Yeah, it ties in. It's part of it.
I'm moving seats too. I was like, that chair is uncomfortable. Move, cat. Okay. There we go. Oh no. Kilroy, here we go. Hang on. Everybody look at the top of my head. It's so shiny. See, I moved chairs and everybody shows up. They want to see the top of my head. That's cool.
That's what everyone's been waiting on.
Show it. Show it. Yeah, that's what it is. I always said be careful with my face. That's how I make my money. So let me ask you this. Have you been keeping up? Because I had this weird quest here recently where I got just a burning desire to slowly collect all of Stephen King books in hardcover through eBay and stuff. Have you been keeping up with the King-a-thons and what's coming out? What just has come out recently, or?
I have not, honestly, no.
So they're remaking Firestarter. That's the next one that's coming out.
Yes,
good.
I have seen a preview for that. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I think that's one that's due for a good remake. I know they had the kind of sequel to it that Sci-Fi did. That was a long time ago now. But I really enjoyed the original Firestarter. I think it's a pretty cool movie. I really like the story as a concept. And it looks like I think it's going to end up doing pretty good. I'm pretty hopeful that it's going to be worth our time.
Yeah. But speaking of feeling old, man, now Zac Efron's playing the dad in that movie.
Oh man, I know. Wasn't that kid just in High School Musical? Come on. Ugh. It's kind of weird you hit that age where it's like we hit young adulthood in our early 20s and like, oh, look at these teeny boppers. And now those kids, now it's 15 years later and those kids are now having kids of their own and whatnot. So it's kind of a surreal feeling. But I really like Zac Efron. I think especially as a comedic actor, I think he's hilarious. I'm glad to see him get so much success. I really liked him in the Baywatch movie. Not high art or anything, but I really enjoyed it. Of course, the Neighbors movies. And it'll be interesting. And I mean, talk about a dramatic turn in the Ted Bundy movie.
The Bundy movie? Yes.
The Ted Bundy movie on Netflix. Yes. Wicked, evil, and I can't remember. Something about wicked, evil, and fun.
Justin, it's going to be a movie. It's a movie. It's coming out here in a few months. Like, it comes out this summer. The Firestarter does. Firestarter.
Oh, yeah.
Justin was asking if it's a TV show or a movie. No, it's a movie. It looks good.
So at least we have a little bit of basis. Zac Efron, it's good to see he can pull those things off, and I think he's a good pick for that role. Because I think, was it David Keith or Keith David?
Yeah.
Because there was those two guys. One was when they led.
David Keith. Yeah.
I never remember which one is which. One's a white guy, one's a black guy. One beat up Roddy Piper, and the other one was Daredevil's dad in the movie. Did you see that Zac Efron Bundy movie?
Which one? Zac Efron what?
The Zac Efron Ted Bundy movie.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's directed by the guy finally got out of movie jail, the guy who made Blair Witch 2.
I had no idea. That's quite a different direction to move in filming, but good for him.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he's an Oscar-winning documentarian, but yeah, when it comes to movies, he was in movie jail for a long time.
I can't imagine why. Commenting on that movie, I was really impressed that they showed it more from the perspective of his girlfriend or his who later became his wife. And they didn't go all in on showing all these heinous acts. It added a lot of mystery to it and showing it from her perspective, thinking how she was blinded by things and she didn't see it and had such a hard time believing it. It's a really chilling movie.
Yeah.
And Zac Efron's just stellar.
Tying it into a... No, it's really good. No, tying it into Stephen King, there's a Stephen King story that I think got turned into like a Lifetime movie, which I haven't seen because it was a Lifetime movie. But the story's really good, called A Good Marriage, and it's essentially about a wife, her husband, like he dies or he's sick, and she's in his things in the garage, like is moves something and kicks a box, opens the box up, and there's all this stuff that points to her husband being a serial killer. And so she's reflecting on all these years of her marriage, not knowing her husband was tormenting and killing women. Jared Martin, what is up, man? Are you able to see the stuff too, or no? On your end?
I'm not able to see it. I thought it was just still me and you.
Oh, no? There's a few in here. Just
Yeah, because according to yes, according to mine, it says only 3 people are watching, and I figured me, you, and Amber. So, hi everybody.
Yeah, the two of you.
Oh, we don't count. We're on screen.
Oh, excellent.
You too, Big Rod. Doing good. We finally, in the year of our Lord 2022, figured out how to have a video call.
Yes. I record it on a tape and send it to you, right? That's how that works?
That's right, yes. That's right. Once the reels come in, I lock them up and we reel it up and it plays. And Amber plays piano background music for accompaniment.
We get a back and forth conversations like Videodrome. Just record a bunch of tapes and anticipate what each other's going to say.
Yes.
That is a movie I'm really shocked nobody's tried.
Did they try for a long time that was on the list to be remade?
There was word that it was going to be tried to be remade. Of course, you would have to update it tremendously. I think it should be left alone, but I'm just kind of Laserdisc. I think it should be left alone.
That's a big chest vagina for a Laserdisc.
Oh, man. I've got a Laserdisc player and a beta player. I don't wonder why those things didn't catch on, because I mean their sides are damn crispy.
Yeah.
And instead of having a little CD, you have something the size of a damn record.
I never saw one until I think it was like 7th grade science class, and Mrs. Sparks whipped one out. I was like, "Good God Almighty, what is that?"
That's exactly the first time I ever saw one, and that's the last time I saw one for a very long time. But she managed to I don't know how she wound up with a Laserdisc player, but I remember her showing us all the little video clips of it, and I think it was pretty cool for the time. But yeah, I'm guessing that tech never really caught on in Oklahoma. I find them everywhere up here in Washington, all over the place. And that's another thing, that Laserdisc now has all these fanatical collectors who will knife each other for a copy of Cool as Ice.
Ooh, I do have a copy of The Crow on Laserdisc.
Oh man, The Crow. Does that movie hold up, honestly? Because I haven't watched it in 20 years.
We watched it a couple of years ago with Ashton, and he totally dug it. And that's one of those ones, kind of like Videodrome. Like, I know that one's has gone through like a whole army of people to get remade. Leave it alone. It's fine.
Yeah, I think it works for the unique time it worked in of the 90s, of kind of the Nine Inch Nails industrial era, and
Yeah.
just the whole style, extreme, edgy 90s. So we don't need a contemporary version of The Crow. I don't know what they would do with it. I think it would probably be atrocious. Yeah, leave that one alone. But
Justin,
few movies had as much impact.
Justin says, oh, sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Very few movies of that era had as much impact culturally as The Crow. I mean, that soundtrack of that movie was huge. Of course, everything to do with Brandon Lee and the impact that had at the fallout from that. And one of the biggest impacts was Sting turned into The Crow and fought the NWO a few years later. So,
yeah, I did.
Oh man.
So Justin says,
Yeah.
Justin suggests that if you sell your house in Washington, you can move here and buy half of Weatherford. So you get plenty of laser discs then.
That's true. I can get all the laser discs. I just bought a laser disc. I just bought a laser disc because I hoard old technology. I have one movie. I have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's it. Why do I have a laser disc player? I don't know. I found it at a thrift store in Blaze. So I can barter in the apocalypse if old media is the currency.
But just think about it. You sell that stuff, move down here, and then they'll be like, look, there's Nick, king of the dead media.
That would require me to live in Oklahoma, and I'm cool where I'm at. Yeah, let's see. VCR, Betamax, Laserdisc. I have a pile in my room of old. Yes. VCR, Betamax, Laserdisc, and yes, Christmas Vacation's still in there. And I have a digital Etch-a-Sketch, too. Yeah, I collect weird stuff, so like my Ultra Force action figures, there's a cartoon no one remembers. I've literally never met anyone who remembers that 90s cartoon Ultra Force. Do you remember that at all?
No.
Yeah, there was a back when all these independent comic companies were coming up, there was one called Malibu. And of course, it had a bunch of dudes in mullets and ponytails fighting energy vampires and wizards and all sorts of stuff. And they decided to take this obscure comic book series and make a cartoon out of it. And it's one of the weirdest superhero cartoons you will ever see. It starts out, the first 5 minutes of the show are a bunch of people getting killed by a robot dinosaur. It's pretty hardcore right out the gates.
Nice.
And it's got, looking at the opening credit sequence to Ultra Force and the song, it's got one of those songs that screams the name 100 times at the beginning of the show. It's amazing. Please look up the Ultra Force intro. It's awesome. But I caught it when I was a kid, and then it disappeared into history. That's exactly the other one that does that. You don't wonder what the name of the show is because it sings Wildcats. Then remember when it starts rapping the title? It randomly starts rapping in the title sequence. I think
question.
That's another one of those.
Yeah, Christmas Vacation. Jared says Christmas Vacation, hands down, is the most annually earned movie ever. My personal fave. We just showed Ashton last year. We did the Halloween thing where we watched a bunch of Halloween movies and we showed him a bunch of Christmas movies. Didn't get all the ones I wanted to watch because I was going to show him Deadly Prey and Rare Exports, but we did get Christmas Vacation in, so he was able to watch that for the first time.
Deadly Prey, was that that violent Home Alone one from the early 90s? That has been on my list to watch. I'll need to give that a look. Because
Yeah, I think it was
hyper-violent
on
Home Alone
Shudder.
ripoffs.
Still is. No, I think it came out before Home Alone. I think it's like it was from France. I think it came out the year before.
Oh, yeah, that's right, it did. And I know there was some controversy about that if Home Alone ripped off it. It probably did. I don't know. Sociopathic kids trying to murder intruders. Whatever.
Yeah. See,
But
I know
Christmas
it all goes by Deadly Prey, but I think the name Dial Code Santa Claus is the best name for a movie ever.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. That's what you call it.
Christmas Vacation, my favorite Christmas movie of all time. I still watch it every year. It's one of those movies, I watched it on just network TV growing up. Then I pop it, then I watch it later on. It's like, this is a lot dirtier than I remember. It has been eye-opening seeing a lot of that, and that's how all the vacation movies are. We're like, wow, there's nudity in these. I had no idea.
Yeah, that was
growing up in my house.
You're like, well, that was just the age of. I mean, we were the age where like everything was edited for TV. Like USA, man, all they were movies. Like I remember seeing. I think I saw Tremors on USA at least 10 times before I ever watched actually a copy of the movie. Like an uncut copy of the movie. I mean, not that there's,
And there were times where it would be a movie we'd watch on regular TV. Then I'll go around and bring it home, and I'm watching it to my family, and all of a sudden there's boobs and F-bombs. And my dad's like, what did you rent, Nick? It's like, I didn't know there was any of that in there. Yeah, Mike wasn't happy when that happened.
I watched it on ABC.
Where did you watch this at, boy? Ugh. How many movies did we watch simply because? Yes, when going over to your house to watch movies that were R-rated, we spent so many days doing just that. Because my house was the house of no fun. At least when it came to movies, so.
I still tell Ashley because he's getting into horror movies. I always tell him, if you're gonna watch a horror movie marathon, you always pop on one comedy. 2001 taught me that. 4 horror movies and 1 comedy. You gotta laugh before bed.
That is true. I remember. The memories are jumbled up from what days we watched what. I remember we had one day where we watched The Night Beast, Monster in the Closet, and I think there's 1 or 2 more that I just can't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah.
Did the standard go to 2001 Video, 5 movies, $5, 5 days, and we took the plunge. One of my favorite memories of watching movies together was watching The Night Beast. I mean,
so good.
What a classic, top to bottom. The laser effects at the beginning, the dude who had like vampire gorilla mask and hands and a white button up, and of course the sheriff with his curly gray afro. Yes, his perm. And the most erotic sex scene ever committed to films.
Was the last time you guys were down? Where not only did we rewatch it since high school, but we made our wives watch it.
Oh man, holds up. It's still great. It was a Don Doler movie. If you didn't like it, you're just wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. The Night Beast is a classic. Should have won an Academy Award that year for awesomeness.
That's terrifying. So Justin says,
I love it.
we watched it one night at my cousin's house and then had to sleep in his room that was decked out in clowns. That's horrifying. Well, what's scarier, a room decked out in clowns after watching it, or watching it, and then having to sleep in a room just covered in Tim Curry?
I don't know.
Happened. Oh.
So I'm trying to play with my camera to see if I can actually see the comments. No. Y'all are saying
Weird.
stuff. I hope it's good.
I'm
Still working out the
chime
case.
in when they pop up.
Okay. Oh man, the Night Beast. So a guy who made those, Don Dohler, out in, I think it was Maryland in the 80s, made a few movies. I watched one of his. It's my oldest VHS tape. I think it was like a VHS tape from 1980. It's called The Alien
Is it
Factor.
Alien Factor?
And he made on
Yeah.
Alien Factor, made on an shoestring budget about this alien zoo ship that crashes in rural Maryland, and a bunch of rednecks run around trying not to get killed by aliens. It's actually a really fun, entertaining movie. They did so much with, no budget. But they still managed to come out with some pretty innovative creature design. It's an impressive effort considering, they had no money. None.
Yeah, Night Beast is like, in all sense, is a terrible movie. But that's a cool looking mask. Like, it looks like just a party store mask, but it's a cool looking mask. It's memorable.
It is. And I think the movie itself is memorable. It's nothing groundbreaking or great, but it has enough in the way of like the sleazy mayor in that movie, and the random biker dude.
His pool party. Yeah.
Yes. Who the sheriff says, there's an alien running around eating people, and the sheriff's like, but I'm having a pool party. There's a woman in a bikini. I'm drinking. Go away. Oh yeah, the governor's got you better not mess this up for me, sheriff. And then I remember we were watching it, the first time we watched it. All of a sudden, there's this biker dude with a leather vest and sunglasses, just riding in a frame and walking into a house. And I was like, did somebody record over this? It seems like it's from an entirely different movie. Nope, he shows up to slap a woman around and leaves. Okay.
Back to the alien
editing
movie
was
already
under
in
strong.
progress. Like it.
Oh, there's so much of that nonsensical editing from the 80s that, like, I think one movie that suffers from that is Phantasm. That is a weird movie, and it is edited together really weird. I've never seen any of the sequels. The first one's just, it is hard to follow. There's flying metal balls, the drones people said, that looks cool. Also, there's midgets. What? Sorry, little people.
I saw the first two. I own all of them. I saw the first two. They showed footage from the last one at one of the Texas Frightmares Shaw and I went to, and I was like, this doesn't look good. I don't think he directed it though. He just they kickstarted it and got money enough to make up what they wanted, but it didn't look good. But because 2 has the 4-barrel shotgun.
Yes, that I've never seen 2 or 3, but I know the dude with a balding mullet ponytail thing rigs together a 4-barrel shotgun, which I always thought was cool. And that apparently shows up in multiple movies. Because that same guy is in.
He became the Burt Gummer of the series.
Yeah. So he's still running around decades later with his 4-barrel shotgun, hobbling around, fighting little people and old men with metal balls. That is a really weird series. that's one of those, I can't believe it got as popular as it did, given just how just off the wall and random it seems. But a lot of it basing off of reputation and seeing the first one, which is out there.
Some they throw, some you could throw in a drive-in for months. It's kind of what Evil Dead was. Throw it up late at night.
But Evil Dead kind of, it makes sense and you can follow. You're like, oh, I get it. There's an evil buck out in the woods and there's demons possessing people. Then there's the tree part, which is something else. But Phantasm seems so lacking in something with a coherent narrative. And at the end of it, I was still super confused. But it's been a while since I've seen it. I doubt it's any less confusing than it ever was. But it did something right, because man, that is.
Who swear by it, but.
And I'll be back in just a minute.
No, you're good. What's up, everybody? We were able to finally get Nick on this side. Robot Jocks. Yes, I guarantee you we'll talk to some Robot Jocks when Nick gets back. Nick, by the way, Nick I have known almost my entire life. I think Nick and I met when I was 8 or so we're coming up on 30 years. Yeah, huge mind for movies, crazy. And him and I were kind of we were the movie guys. Hanging out watching movies all day. Yeah, Robot. I like Robot Jocks better than Robot Wars. Because Robot, I have to remember now because they're both like right there back to back. Robot Jocks is the one. I know it's the one that Stuart Gordon directed. And I think it has the stand-up robots, whereas Robot Wars isn't like one of them like a. No, is it Robot? We'll discuss that when Nick gets back because Nick will probably know offhand. Like I'm melding the two together. Like one has a scorpion robot, one of them like loses their fight because he gets punched the robot balls by the other one. Like it's and it's just stop motion like knocking stocking robots. Yeah, we met at church camp. I was 8 or 8.5, and we lived at Woodward, weren't anywhere near each other. Then we moved to Hobart to be close to my grandma, and lo and behold, that's where we grew up. I'm a big sucker for big robot movies, though. Like, except for, so we have a question: Robot Jocks or Robot Wars?
Robot Jocks. I've seen both many times.
Okay.
I think Robot Jocks has a lot more robot action, especially robot on robot action. You get to see some pretty cool fights and some clips. And I like the plot of in the future, there's two giant countries and we resolve our differences by punching each other with robots, using robots to fight each other in an arena. It's like, I want to be part of that future where that's how we resolve conflicts, is watching mechs destroy each other.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Can the government get on that already?
Okay. See, that's why I couldn't remember. I was like, one of them has a scorpion, and the other one wins a fight by punching the other robot in the nuts. I couldn't remember which one was which.
Yes. So, Robot Wars. There's actually 3 Full Moon Video giant robot movies, sort of. The third one is Crash and Burn. I say sort of because
Yeah.
the
Oh, I
giant
love
robot
Crash
in
and
that
Burn.
movie. Oh, Crash and Burn's, I think, a great movie. It's just the giant robot's in it for about 2 minutes. Although in the trailer, you'd think it's a pretty major plot point. And they recycled the robot from, it was the Mega 1 robot from Robot Wars. It's in it. They use the same model painted tan. But I enjoyed Robot Wars.
Terminator.
Yes. I think Crash and Burn's one of the better rip-offs of The Thing, because that movie thoroughly copies The Thing, especially the blood test scene. You cannot tell me that's not what they were thinking of when they made it. But Robot Wars, I remember I bought my copy in VHS at a flea market in Ohio. I can't remember so many things in my life, but I remember buying certain movies. And I got it home. What's my wife's birthday again? I don't know. Anyway, so I get home and watch it, and I'm like, you look at the runtime, it's like 105 minutes or something. So I'm about 85 minutes in the movie, and then the credits start rolling, and I'm thinking, what? They included the full moon. I don't know if you remember those old full moon videos. They had the Video Zone, the video magazine.
Yeah, the full moon feet. Yeah, the actor. Yeah, the commercials and the buy our puppet master
which were
toys.
awesome. Yes, and here's our upcoming movies that we're never actually going to make. Thanks, Charles Mann. Robot Wars doesn't have enough robot action in it. There's not a Robot Wars. It's more of two robots kind of fight each other at the end. I don't know if they didn't have enough budget or what, but it's a fun movie. I like the robot design of the robots are the Mega 1 and the Maris 2. The Maris 2 is the Scorpion mech. It's really cool design. But you look at the VHS cover, and there's like tanks and a pyramid blowing up and all this cool stuff, and it's just kind of underwhelming. I think Robot Jocks delivers pretty well on the goods of robot action. So I think the ending's a bit of a cop-out itself, but another one very similar to Robot Jocks that came out in the mid-90s. Go ahead.
And I was going to say, it's just so weird to think about Jocks. And the question was, does Robot Wars take place after Jocks? Are they tied? Are they related? Are they sequel to one another?
No. As far as I know, they are not related. They do not take place in the same universe. If they do, they did a really poor job of connecting them, because in the second one, our country is looking to sell the Maris 2 or a copy of it to some sort of Asian alliance of countries and whatnot. The politics and the culture and the geographics, I know I'm doing a deep dive into this, don't seem to match up. So I think these happen to be two movies with giant robots made by the same company. So, no, Crash and Burn definitely isn't a part of either one of them. So, but I think better than Robot Jocks was. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's weird when you look at, because Jocks is Stuart Gordon, isn't it? I think Stuart Gordon.
I'm not sure.
Jocks. And to see.
Yeah, actually,
I know he directed
right.
one of them. One of them. Is it? But to be like Reanimator for Empire, Dolls for Empire. What's the one? Not Dagon. He did what's the other? Castle Freak. And then it's like, and the Big Robot movie.
Yeah, it's kind of
like
out.
Charles Band's
seems really out of the rest of the stuff. Yeah. But there was another giant robot movie from the 90s with James Remar in it called Robo Warriors. It's similar in a lot of ways to Robot Jocks. In the future, aliens invade, and we use mechs to fight them. Then they kick our ass, so we're taken over. and this kid has to go find this disgraced mech pilot to go get this mech out of the jungle and fight off the aliens. It's a really cool movie. They had some really cool model design, and they actually built some. They built this one robot. It looks like a dinosaur, and they actually built it. It's like 60 feet tall. They really built it. They did some impressive job with the robots in the movie, and it's got great set design, and it's quite a bit of action in it. So if you all like robot jocks, check out Robo Warriors. There's not enough giant robot movies. I'm a lifelong fan. I've played Mech Warrior ever since I was 9 or 10 years old. So I love anything to do with robots, especially giant robots battling. It is my thing. Gundams, whatever. I love giant robot anything. And yeah, I love Pacific Rim. I love Pacific Rim, even the second one. I'm a sucker for giant robots.
I had to revisit the second one because I remember seeing the theater, and I just wasn't having it that day. So maybe I'll revisit that one. I love the first one though.
It's not a great movie. It's not, but it has giant robots punching things. I have pretty low standards when a movie features those things. It could probably have no plot and extras in the background just staring at the camera, but as long as there are robots punching each other, I would watch it, undoubtedly. Like I love the Judge Dredd movie from the 90s. It's a fun movie. My favorite part, the ABC Warrior, the giant robot, is the coolest part of that movie.
Yeah, it was.
Also, that I think Dredd is the better movie, but the Judge Dredd movie from the 90s follows the comic book much more closely. The comic book is the comic book's goofy. It's like goofy. It's violent and such, but it's really goofy. Oh, my wife's home.
Woo! Bree's home.
Yay!
Amber says yay.
Yeah. We ran to the store. It's been me and the dogs here hanging out in the basement. So what else has happened on the movie or TV front? Oh, I got a plug here. I think Raised by Wolves is a stupid film.
I haven't watched it. Like every time I see the trailer, I'm like, that looks awesome. And then somebody will be like, that show's kind of stupid. And I go, okay, maybe I'll watch it.
Okay, I watched the first season all the way through. It's ambitious, I will say that. It's quite ambitious. It's just a jumbled mess of a movie. It tries to throw all these things in there. It kind of beats you over the head with its anti-religion. But I kind of, because the main thing is like, oh, the future, the atheist forces and this religious forces fight each other and destroy the planet. And so robots are sent off to grow kids on another planet. I get what they were going for with it. And there's some good acting. There's some cool parts of it. I just think it's a mess. And they kept on cramming more and more crap into it as the season went on. And I can't bring myself to watch the second season. Maybe it gets better, and I love sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
See, I love Star Trek.
I fell off of Westworld because I loved season 1 of Westworld. I think was perfect, and then we got about halfway through season 2, and I was like, I don't care.
I heard it got kind of off in the weeds a little bit there. I've avoided watching Westworld because I've heard so many negative things about the direction it takes. And I've seen enough shows that the first season's great, and then it just falls apart after that. Heroes is my prime example of that. So I love the original movie Westworld.
Television.
I have never seen a TV show fall apart in quality so quickly, because I think that first season of Heroes is pretty much damn perfect. And they took none of that
Yeah.
momentum and did anything with it at all. And somebody's like, oh, watch season 3, and no, I'm not slugging through season 2. This is Pookie, my other dog. It's actually Bree's dog. He's trying to get away from me.
Obviously. No,
We're never lonely in this house.
I watched. Justin said that Robot Warriors is on Paramount Plus, so I'm going to go add it to my list. I don't think I've ever seen it. I'm telling you right now, the best, if you guys want to watch just like weird random movies that we would have rented in high school, Tubi's where it's at. There's some cool hidden stuff.
That is true, yes. It is a treasure trove of random crap.
Yeah. Let's see, TV. I did watch Archive 81 on Netflix. Have you watched that yet?
I heard that was really good. No, I have not watched it.
It's 8 episodes. It really could have been like 6. Like there was a couple times where I was like, "All right, let's get this going." But I haven't listened to the podcast, but I am curious. Tonally, it was a really great show. I think there's one episode, maybe just one episode too long, but there is some really good sci-fi stuff in it.
That's been one I put on my list. I just haven't got around to it. I was going to ask you about this in relation to Raised by Wolves. Have you seen Travis Fimmel in anything else?
That is the main guy, right? I mean, the
guy. He played some Viking dude in Vikings, and that's kind of how he got on the map.
Yeah.
Because Travis Fimmel wanders around in Raised by Wolves. He always looks like he just took the biggest hit off a bong, and his eyes are super red and watery. I don't think the dude can act at all. I think he's so lousy in that show, it is distracting. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Vikings, he's Ragnar. I don't know, something Viking, some Viking name beats me. But watching Raised by Wolves, how could you hinge a show on this guy? And maybe he's got another thing. Part of it is the plot's just wacky as shit, but I feel like I'm missing something with that guy because I don't get how he's that successful. But that's true of a lot of people these days, I feel.
Did you see and did you like Big Hero 6? I did.
Love Big Hero 6.
I never read the anime, or read the anime. Look at me, white kid. I never read the manga or saw the anime, but. Justin,
I think Big Hero 6.
Real Steel for you.
I love Real Steel. Why? Why do I love Real Steel? Because it's robots punching each other. Yes. And it's an underdog story. It's Rocky with robots. No, I think Real Steel is actually a pretty fun movie beginning to end. I think they knew exactly what they were trying to do with it. And they made a robot boxing movie. And that scene where they're fighting down in that abandoned zoo where Jackman and his son's robot Adam is fighting that crazy looking robot that they look like they kind of just bolted a bunch of parts together on. No, that's a cool ass movie. I love Real Steel. I keep on trying to talk about
says, he's heading out, but he's just saying goodbye. So good night, Big Rod. And yeah, we'll definitely have to
bye, Jim. I hope to see you again next time.
Bring in. Now, I got a question about, we're going with robots. So do you, is there a size requirement before you enjoy a robot movie? Or you're like, what if there's a robot in it, I'm down? You're a big fan of Chappie, or you're like, no, the robot has to be at least 10 feet tall?
I can enjoy robots of any size. I like them bigger. I am such a fan of instead of playing Mech Warrior, I like the idea of big robots piloted by somebody fighting something. Even though, in terms of reality, hopping in a giant robot and punching something makes no sense, I love it. But like one movie, Elysium, has robots in it, and I think there's some pretty cool action sequence featuring robots. But no, don't have a minimum size requirements. I can enjoy most any movie with robots, but the bigger the better. And as for Big Hero 6, I adore that movie. It's an excellent superhero movie. It's a really heartfelt movie. It manages to do so much. I about probably rated a 5 out of 5.
There is now. Yeah. Big Hero, like, it's one of the last. I don't see every Pixar movie now, but it was one of the last, like, really, really great ones to me. Like, I wasn't a fan of Incredibles 2. That was disappointing. I think that was one of the last ones I saw. Oh, Coco was really good, but I love Big Hero 6.
Oh. Coco was good. I've seen Encanto. Like Encanto, I think Coco's better. My wife and daughter are on a big Encanto.
Amber's all about Encanto.
Yeah. It's good. I just think Coco's way better. But
yeah,
it's out of the last 20 years, 2 of the best superhero movies are animated, which is The Incredibles and Big Hero 6.
You didn't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, my wife says I didn't understand Encanto. I think I understood it just fine.
It is a beautiful movie.
It's a good movie.
Hey, is this because Nick talks about Bruno? Is that what all this is about?
I don't.
What'd you say, Jason?
I said, is it because he talks about Bruno?
Yes, obviously.
What are you, mirror image?
Hi, Ash.
I understood it just fine.
It didn't touch your heart. It's my heart.
Apparently, it didn't touch my heart like it did hurt.
Justin,
you know what could have helped that
Justin
movie a
says
lot?
he wants
Giant robots.
He wants to see more big robot movies. So you'll have to do like a segment of big robot movies.
I will gladly do that. It'll give me a chance, an excuse to watch more big robot movies, and maybe find some more that I don't know about. Because I know there's many that I know there's like a lot of Japanese ones that I've missed. Like one of the, what was that series, Neon Genesis Evangelion? I need to give that a shot because there's a lot of that giant robots fighting monsters and whatnot. But there's just, there's been such a shortage of giant robot movies. It's tragic. Because we had a bunch in the 90s.
Just
and,
know.
well,
So now,
then we had
you say you want big robot movies, just no robots, as in just like not regular sized robots, or like you just don't want them to talk about the Robin Williams film Robots.
That is one of those. Is that a Disney or DreamWorks movie?
That's
Man,
That's what
that's one of those.
DreamWorks was throwing everything at the wall.
I just, man, no one remembers that. I completely forget that movie ever happened.
I want to see that.
I can make some.
I may be wrong, but I think that's DreamWorks.
Yeah. Had a ton of talent. Like Mel Brooks is in that movie, but it's not a terribly good movie. So, on the TV front, I gotta ask because I've been very curious about your opinion on this. Have you seen Midnight Mass?
Okay. One of the greatest things I've ever seen. I loved it.
Did it remind you of anything, or a few different things?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the most Stephen King-less Stephen King story that Mike Flanagan's ever told. Like it's totally
It is.
plot.
It is basically. It's come visit needful things in Salem's Lot before the storm of the century hits. It is those three in one movie or one show. I enjoyed it, but it was really distracting how much it borrowed from Stephen King. It was well done. I think it was overlong in parts and got too talky. But I have really petty hangups on movies and shows. If anyone is not picking up on that from my criticisms of Batman and whatnot, it's so heavily borrowed from those three. I just couldn't get. I could see exactly where it was heading at every point. It's like, okay, this is what's happening and where. It didn't surprise me much, unfortunately. Also, I had a question. Has no one ever heard of vampires in this universe? Is there nothing remotely revolving vampire mythology or anything?
Not in the Northeast.
Because everyone's just like, ooh, it's, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for anybody, but spoilers ahead. Everyone's just like, oh, well, of course, it's this horrifying creature's an angel. I'm sorry, just take one look at that thing and be like, what the fuck is that? Get it away from me. But everyone in the audience, like, they're all kind of just going along with all of this. It's nitpicky, but I honestly thought you'd be harder on it because it borrows so heavily from people.
Well, it does, but then again, like Salem's Lot's probably my favorite King novel. I think Storm of the Century is the best thing King ever did for television. Like, it's his best miniseries. And I don't know, like, to me, it wasn't so much about where the story was going. It was just watching it. A lot of time, it was the acting, and then I guess getting caught up in the whole I don't know, growing up in church and stuff, the faith aspect, and the kind of what can happen with that, with traditions and ritual type things just kind of hit me in the right spots.
That reminds me, there is another Stephen King story that I think it borrows something from, The Mist. I think it borrows an entire character from The Mist. You know which character I'm talking about?
Lady, Mrs. Kermani or whatever her name is, Mrs. Kermani?
Yes. Oh, and talk about stellar acting, because I hated her. I hated her and how smug and self-righteous she was. And we knew people like that growing up. So it's just like, that's a realistic character who do these horrible things, but justify that she's on the side of the angels. So
yeah, to me,
I didn't dislike the show.
To me, the acting is what does it. Because it is tough. I think the actors delivered that scene where the drunk guy, where the girl who can now walk again confronts the guy who accidentally shot her in his trailer. Like, that is rough stuff. And they knocked it out of the park.
And in terms of acting and scenes, man, that scene, the one in the boat, the scene in the boat, I mean, great.
Yeah.
And it's even some of the quieter moments, like where they're talking about what he thinks happens after they die. And it's a lot of the dialogue is beautifully written. I think it gets too talky at times, but it's got some stellar dialogue. Especially think the minister. I'm terrible with names. He's well written and well acted.
He was phenomenal.
I mean, just stellar. That guy should get more. Should get a lot more acting gigs. He looks like an over version of that kid from. Man, I can't remember the name of that. A24 movie, the one that really hit it off for him.
Yeah. Hereditary. Yeah. Something.
He looks dead like an old person. And that's initially, it's like, man, they aged him up. No, it's just, I looked through his filmography, and yeah, I don't think I've seen anything else he's done. I hope to see him in more, because he did a lot of good. I mean, not only delivering the dialogue, his facial expressions in certain things. No, he was stellar. But
I'm excited for
my criticisms are more of.
I'm really bummed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It said, but to close it off with my thoughts on Midnight Mass, I felt like I had seen it. It was the greatest hits of 4 different things I'd seen before. It was hard for me to get past that.
I get that.
If I hadn't seen any of those 4 other things, stellar, and I'd recommend it to people. Yeah. I said it drags a bit and pumps, but overall, I think it's a good show.
My only this is my complaint, and it's a weird complaint about Midnight Mass, the fact that Mike Flanagan, it's the one he wrote, so that's great. He got to do what he wanted. But because he did that, they had to bail on. He was going to do Stephen King's Revival, which I think may be King's best book in the last 20 years, and probably his darkest book since Pet Sematary. And I would have loved to see him do that movie.
Speaking of King, do you know there's another Salem's Lot coming this way?
I'm tentatively optimistic.
Yes. I don't know any details, but I think it's a story that.
No, the only details I know are the guy who wrote it. I think he may be directing it too. He wrote some of the Conjuring movies, but he also wrote The Nun, which is a movie I like. I know it's not good, but I love Catholic magic movies. Speaking of Midnight Mass, and he wrote It Chapter 2. So I'm like, but I think William Sadler's supposed to be playing either Barlow or Straker.
That has either. Intrigued. I think he'd make a great Straker. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I love William Sadler. I think he's a criminally underutilized actor. So no, I'd like to. I'm looking forward to it. I'm cautiously optimistic myself. I enjoyed the one with Rob Lowe and Rutger Hauer. It was good, not great, but the original mini. I mean, talking about made-for-TV horror movies, the original Salem's Lot is up there. It's one of the best in my opinion. It's still creepy.
Oh,
the creepy ass kids scratching on the windows.
And it's still. It still holds up. Like I got it on Blu-ray when they released it, and it looks amazing.
I gotta watch that again.
Yeah, to me the Rob Lowe one, I was. Yeah, the Rob Lowe one, it was fine. It was just it didn't feel like it had any teeth, for a terrible pun.
No,
and that was like that was like Cable. That should have had more oomph to it.
Yeah, it was okay. I don't know. It felt kind of unnecessary. Like, why bother? But I think they have a chance to do it really well this time around. And I'm hoping they will.
And I love the
character. Oh, I'm going to have to wrap it up.
Neither one of them have really kind of done him. Yeah. Yeah, so this has been fun. We'll have to... I think what we need to do is we'll definitely be doing these again monthly, hopefully, and then we'll need to start doing some joint reviews. And then you talked about doing watch-alongs. We'll have to figure out we'll have to old man our way on a
Yes.
keyboard to figure out how to do the watch-alongs.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who joined us. I have reviews. I filmed a review for Journey to the Center of the Earth 1993 and The Invitation 2015. I've had technical difficulties getting it online, and the last month and a half has been really hard for me. My dog died last week, and been on night shift, and there's been a lot of things going on at work and whatnot, but I am still going to release that. It's just when I get it figured out. And I've got more reviews coming down the pipe, too. But, yeah, I look forward to doing some joint reviews and getting some more content put out here. And I look forward to doing these a lot more. I think next time I'm going to write down some more ideas and bullet points. Just right off the top of my head, I kind of sat here drawing a blank at times. So, like that, and come up with ways to break down uncomfortable assignments.
Pop up with.
Yeah. Well.
So, now, go ahead.
Oh, no, go. I was just going to go ahead. Any more thoughts you have?
Oh, I was just gonna say, so yeah, that's we got that coming now. So those of you who are still here get the inside scoop. But Sunday's episode that I was putting out, my review was gonna be over Sandman. I'm pushing that a week because I'll have a spoiler-free review of the Batman. That'll be something we can duke it. We'll see it. We'll both see it, and then we'll duke it out.
Oh, we will. For the record, I think it's going to be a good movie, and I think I'm going to enjoy it. I want to have a more lengthy talk on Batman as a character in the various movies in the near future. Maybe next time we could talk about that, kind of hash out our opinions and kind of why I think of Batman the way I do. A lot of it has to do with the animated series from the 90s, but in the different incarnations and what we feel Batman should be and what Batman is. So we can trade barbs back and forth on that. But yeah, I'm planning to watch it next week, and we'll link up and I'll let you know what I think. I'm hoping it'll be great.
Yeah, we'll do that. And yeah, I'm still trying to watch stuff. Like I said, now once we are no longer babysitting children, I'll try to watch Peacemaker and some other stuff I want to watch. But we'll kind of get down and kind of maybe do some topic stuff if you guys want to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, after watching that Sandman, I'm about to find something. I'm about to dig something out. Thinking of a fun karate movie.
Sidekicks with Chuck Norris. That's a fun karate movie.
Now, we did do a podcast episode.
Chuck Norris still Christopher.
We did a podcast episode where we showed Ashton Three Ninjas. And it's not great, but it holds up better than you think it would.
I bet Three Ninjas is the Citizen Kane compared to Sidekicks. If you all don't know what I'm talking about, look up the movie Sidekicks with Chuck Norris in it. Oh my God. I'm going to have to do a review of that.
It's him and the kid.
It is a 90-minute long PSA over the power of Hawaii. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for joining us.
I want to do goodbye, sir. Take care.
Later, everybody.
I don't know how to kick you out of here.